Okay. All right. So welcome to our kitchen table talk for this week. So we are actually starting on a 3-part series that is the 3 C's of getting your team to be all in. And I think that this will be like information that you can use like for your coaching business, you know, with your downline, as well as how you can help your challengers better. And like any other, like maybe at, like if you work in an office or something, if you were in charge of people there, or like I was even thinking about it for church, like if you do any kind of small group type stuff. Oh, can we all mute? Yeah, we should handle that. So like I was thinking about like a small group at church type thing, or even I was thinking that it would even work with like parenting as well. So the 3 C's of getting your team to be all in, and I just have to get distracted for a second, show you my pineapple pen. So that's that. Okay, so it's coaching, caring, and communication. And so with coaching, that's where we're going to start off our series today, talking about coaching. So I'm not going to explain that. And then caring is kind of going into showing appreciation and, you know, just letting people know that you appreciate them. You know, like the number one reason most people leave their job is because they don't feel appreciated. And I've 100% experienced that. Phyllis has experienced that. I'm sure everybody on this call has experienced that. So anyways, it's just, you know, figuring out ways to let your team know that you care, and then communication. And that's kind of how you're going about building trust. And when you establish that trust relationship, that's where you really get that commitment from people to just be all in. So we are going to start first with talking about coaching. And so this is something that started brewing in my head a while ago, like at Summit, because I was having a conversation with Scotty, and we were kind of talking about the difference between being a coach versus being like a cheerleader. And I will admit that I kind of fall into more of the cheerleader type role a lot of times.
Does anyone else feel that way? How many cheerleaders do we have? I mean, I guess we'll probably ask that question at the end. Maybe I'll re-ask the question again afterwards. Okay.
And, you know, so I fall into that category a lot where, you know, I will look at my coaches, like people that are in our downline and stuff, and kind of be like, yeah, you're doing great job. Oh, you invited 20 people today and nobody responded. Well, good job for inviting. And like, you know, and I'm like cheering you on along the way, but I'm not helping you whatsoever. Like I might make you feel better, and I might make you like, I might send you like a funny wine photo or something to cheer you up. But, you know, like I may not, like I know that I personally have lacked in giving like constructive criticism that's going to help you. And that's kind of where that difference of like coach versus cheerleader comes in. And Scotty was telling me that when he was playing baseball, like back in the day, he used to be on a competitive team and everything. And when they would do their practice and they would do this fielding stuff, why do my analogies always come up to be sporty, and I'm so unsporty and I don't know the right lingo?
I don't think sporty is a thing.
It is.
No.
Sporty spice. Okay. So he was talking about how like he would be doing these grounding exercises, which I think is the thing where you're in the field and you're trying to catch the ball on the ground.
Yikes.
And then like if they didn't do a good job, it wasn't like the coach was like, oh, we'll get it next time, you know, good try. Like they would have to do laps, and they would have to do like other kind of conditioning type stuff, like not as punishment, but kind of punishment, right?
Well, I mean, it depends what reason. It depended if they just weren't listening to the training, or maybe they felt they didn't have the endurance, or, you know, there could be a lot of reasons why the coach chose conditioning. Because I'd say that's what that is. It's more conditioning than punishment.
Right. So I think that a lot of times we kind of, or what I've noticed, it like with myself as well as other coaches that I've talked to about this, is we are much better at giving constructive criticism to our challengers than we are with our coaches. And it's like when somebody is entering to be in your challenge group, like you have no problem or less of a problem telling them, hey, these are excuses. You're letting this get in the way of your fitness journey. The fact that you're not committing to the meal plan is why you're not getting the results. And like, we're much more willing to be like truth bomb honest with them and say, the reason you're not losing weight is because you're not actually doing it.
Right. We're really much, we ask them if they're drinking their Shakeology. Mm-hmm. And when they say, no, I'm not, well, why aren't you drinking your Shakeology? Mm-hmm. And you will not succeed if you don't drink your Shakeology. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, we don't do the same emphasis on invites a lot of times.
Right. Or just like the coaching activities. So, and I guess I was just kind of thinking, like, why is that? Why does it get to that point where, we can tell our challengers, that, and then when it comes to somebody being a coach, we're like, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Oh, I don't want to make them feel bad. I don't want to step on their toes. I don't want to overwhelm them. I don't want them to feel like I want them to be successful so that I can be successful. Or it's like we start making all these reasons why we shouldn't let them know the reality. And so I don't know. I don't really know why that is, but what I do know is that we're not doing our coaches any favors by just cheering them on and not giving them that constructive criticism.
Right. What we've noticed and what we were talking about is there's certain people that maybe, I think one of the things is maybe a little bit of pushback. Sometimes maybe from your coaches, maybe they've got a lot of things in life going on. And some things like, when you're saying, hey, why didn't you, reach out to 10 people yesterday? And of course, then if they're going to let you know that their child was sick or something happened, and it immediately kind of makes you feel bad, like you were insensitive on the family. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we can do is working within the confines of this is a secondary source of income for people that want to work it as a job, but can become a primary source of income, like it's done for several on the team. It's really finding that fine line where, hey, just because I'm talking to you about your invites doesn't mean I don't care about your children and I want them to have the flu. It means like if you need Success Club, or we need to rank advance, or if you need to do these things and you want to make this amount of income, it is true. Like right now, Jennifer and I are both doing master's classes. We can send them excuses that may give us a day to 3 to 4 day extension. However, he doesn't say, okay, I understand you had something come up Sunday, just don't worry about the quiz. We'll just, it's okay. I'll just give you the grade. I'll actually just give you the A because you have life going on. I'll just give it to you. Mm-hmm. So it's the same theory here. When we want to be successful and we've got to do the things that are successful, for some reason, we can measure that in our job. We know that if we do things differently at work, or if we don't show up, we know that they give us a certain amount of sick leave hours or extenuating circumstances that will allow extensions. But after a while, it will in fact affect your job. There's no difference here in Beachbody. And what I've noticed is the people that we maybe don't speak out to, or because, we don't know what place they're in, they never end up getting it to begin with. So it's not like if we don't reach out to, let's say, Joe, because he told us when he first started he wanted to be a Success Club All-Star, and he's only hit Success Club twice. It's not like Joe may start finding out how to get Success Club on his own. He's actually probably going to quit 4 months from now and then blame not having upline support. I mean, for those of us that have downlines, how many of us have tried to work with our downlines? They got mad at us and sometimes told us to leave them alone, and then they quit and then blame the upline anyways for not helping them, right? So it's like you darned if you do and darned if you don't. Mm-hmm. At least that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Good.
So I had a couple other things I wanted to say about coaching, and then we have a couple people that we're going to have talk. Well, let's see. I see Jenna on, and
We have 14 minutes.
okay. And Nina is on. I don't know if you'll be able. Okay, you're shaking your head. Yes. Okay, cool.
She's like, I'm good. The first thing or the second thing, I'm good.
But really, like, what I want you guys to like take away from your role as a coach, like as a mentor to people, is that it's like your job to bring out the greatness in them, and like they don't realize their potential. Like, you're the one that's looking from the outside in at somebody that can be, have a huge impact on lives, and you see that, but they don't, because they're like in the mush pot thinking that they're a failure. So it's like our job as coaches and mentors to our team is to make them realize the vision that you have for them, not the vision that you want for them. And so that can be hard sometimes, but it just kind of takes investing in them and having those real, honest conversations. So I'm going to pass it over to Jenna for a couple minutes. And I asked her to share specifically tonight because she's been coached. And I just kind of wanted her to share her experience with like what it was like to be the coachee. And like,
there's no way that's a word. I'm throwing the flag on that. No way that's a word.
How about just the coached? The coached is good.
The coached. I like it. ED, double word score. Okay, we're going to turn it over to you.
I love it. All right. So kind of what I was thinking about just like listening to the beginning of this call and when Jen reached out to me about this. So last year I competed in 2 different fitness competitions, and while I am a personal trainer myself, I know that my expertise is not in competing. So I hired a coach or a trainer that specializes in training people for that, because you have to know your limits. So the neat thing about this though is just like listening to what Jen was saying tonight. I know like when I would meet with my trainer, like he would never be like, oh, you know what? Like, I'm so sorry that you overslept today. Like, it's okay. On stage, no one's gonna notice. Like, that's not gonna matter. Like, there was never like a coddling of of sorts, because like his job, like I hired him, I paid him money. So in theory, like let's just translate this to, I joined under this coach's business. Like I joined and I paid this man money to make me the best version of myself that I possibly could, because he was an expert at doing that. So how does that translate into our business? It's the same idea. Granted, we're not literally giving paying to sign up as a coach under someone else, but when you're joining someone else's team, like you're committing to that relationship, that you're going to show up because you want them as your mentor to teach you what they did, how it worked, why it worked, and make you the best coach that you possibly can be. And I think for me, I learned a lot from that experience, because he would say, this is what you need to do, now go do it. And the next time I went and saw him, I had to have gone and done that, because that's what he told me to do. And there wasn't any like give and take and pull and maybe, you know what, maybe we'll just figure it out next time. Like there was, this is what you need to do to be successful, go do it. And he couldn't do it for me. Like he doesn't go up and stand on stage and pose for me. Like that's not how it works. So the same thing for your coach. Like your coach can't hit 10-star for you. Like they can tell you how to get there, and they can tell you how they've done it, or they can tell you how someone else has done it, and then you have to go do it. And I think for us, I know I'm very guilty of this. A lot of my coaches are my best friends in life. Like, and a lot of them are on this call tonight. And it's trying to set that boundary of, oh, like when are we friends and when are we mentors and coaches, and not saying, and I'm so glad Mike said it, like you can have a conversation with a coach and not ask about their family, but that doesn't mean you don't care about their family. Like a part of this business and why we joined it is because we were looking for a fit family. So it's not to say that we don't care, but like I did a call, like a special call today with my Success Club earners and Lindsay Matway, and she put on there like, when I'm doing a mentorship call with Brittany Leggett, like we spend a half an hour talking about business. And it's not because I don't care about her kid, and it's not because I don't care about this, but I have 30 minutes because I want to go spend more time with my kid. So she knows that I know we have to make this like a serious, like great use of our time, and we can talk about our kids and what crazy things they're doing tonight when we hang out and have wine and do the friend thing. But when we're working the business, like, I'm her mentor, and it's my job to be the best leader for her, to show her what she can be. And I think it was it was just a good, it was a good note on the topic of what we're discussing tonight. And I think too, like, just setting that boundary of, like, when you're looking at someone as your mentor, or your upline, or maybe it's a cross line, or even a downline, I don't know, whatever the dynamic is, like, you just have to remember that, like, it doesn't mean that they love you any less. But if they really truly love you in this business and they want you to be successful, like, they're going to tell you what to do, and you got to listen. And you got to expect that that's okay, that they didn't ask about your son today. Like, my brother is going through something really traumatic right now, and Jen and I haven't had one conversation about it, but Jen and I have talked about the business multiple times this week, and it's worked out really, like, it hasn't made me feel like she doesn't care about my brother, because I know if I reached out to her about the personal side, she'd be there. But I've had questions about my business, and her and I've talked about my business this week, because I need her in that capacity right now. I know that it doesn't mean that she doesn't care about my brother, because I know that her and Mike love him and they care. But just trying to set that boundary of being coached, and that being okay to say, like, we have our personal side and we have our business side. But I don't know, like, I want a coach that's going to tell me, this is what you need to do, go do it. Like, I didn't just wake up one day and hit 10-star. Like Jen said, okay, this is the stuff I've done. This is what I do. Did you do your business activities this week? Did you do these things? And then she made me just go do them. Like, that's really how it worked. There wasn't any, like, magical, like, formula or anything. It was just being the mentor that I needed in that moment for that time. And I think when you hire someone, or you join an upline's team, like, you're expecting that they bring out the best potential in you, and you're committing to kind of show up and meet them halfway so that you can become that person and that coach. And our clients, like, they deserve that. They deserve us being the best coach that we can be, and showing up every day. So for me, knowing that I had a trainer that I was paying to make me the best version of myself, I showed up every day and I did exactly what he said, because he was the expert, and he knew, sorry, my dog's, like, pushing the computer out of the way. He's asleep on my lap. Like, he knew what I needed to do to be successful, and he made sure, like, here's what it is, here's the roadmap, go do it. Like, keep showing up, keep doing it, and set that boundary of, like, I care about you, and I hope that your personal life's going well, and I hope that there's nothing crazy happening, but you came to me because you wanted to be successful in this, and I'm going to help you be successful in this the best way that I know how. So hopefully that, I don't know, hopefully that helped.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was awesome. No, it's great too. And I sent Phil a few months ago a message on Facebook, because, it's funny. I actually looked up to him because he came back from such a dark place in his life a while ago, and he showed me in my dark place that no matter how dark it is, it's possible not to have to end. So I'll make sure I reach out to him again, because he was actually inspiration to me. So real quick on my side, one of the things that we can do, and I think I spoke to this to someone I was speaking to, when you initially make this relationship, when they're talking about being a coach, this is a very good time to set these boundaries and these perimeters. We do it all the time with our challengers. Like, when you get ready to, if you fail, how would you like me to treat this? What would you like me to do? Do you like, what kind of ways do you respond? Like, do you like my direct, like, hey, what the hell? You know what I mean? Or do you like maybe something like Jennifer? How do you like to respond? But if you set these things up right at the beginning, and this business is so weird in the fact that, we don't know everybody. We don't know you when we first meet you. Then we form you. Then we sign you. Then you become our best friend. Now we've got a problem we didn't originally have. You know what I mean? There's people on this call that we didn't sign as friends, but in the process has now become, and we did like the thing they tell you not to do at work, and that's blur business and friends, but that's what the beauty of network marketing is. So the goal is dancing around that dance, and I think a little bit more honesty and transparency with your downlines and sidelines, just like Jenna said. She knows that if she needed us to come up there right now to be with her and her family, we'd be on our way. I'm not to get Mikey first, but we'll be on our way. She knows that. You know what I mean? We get like an hour and we forget these things. Oh, shoot, got to turn around. But anyways, but it's good that they just know that. So
yeah, and we had a Zoom with Allison Rivas last week, and we had
that's
talked about,
who it was. It was Allison. I knew I was okay.
We had talked about how, like, with your challengers, you'll say, like, if you don't show up or you're not doing well, like, how do you want me to handle you? But then we don't do that when it comes to our coaches. So
right. Set that perimeter at the very beginning. I think that'll help. Or just revisit it in a conversation. Like, can we just talk quickly and, and reestablish the boundaries?
Okay. So then I wanted to ask you, because you have been coached. So you, in your COP stuff, you had to go through FTO, which was field training.
That's fine.
Whatever. And so you had a dude that was over you that was teaching you what you needed to do to stay alive.
Right.
So can you just tell us what that was like, and like what happens if you don't follow training? Did he just let things go, or like what's the deal?
Sure. No. So that's a very good point in regards to, because it's like you got this thing where they teach you in the academy how to do things, and then you get to the car with your field training officer, and then they teach you how to really do things. So you know what I mean? Like, everything you learned in elementary school is done. Now do it this way. Now we're going to teach you how to survive and actually do your job. Here's the thing, though, is they tell you once, then they show you, then you are absolutely expected to do it and do it perfectly from that point forward. If you didn't do it, they would correct you. They would have a conversation about it. And if the learning experience didn't fix itself down the road, they would actually fill out paperwork called NRT, which is non-responsive to training. And the reason being is, for some reason, this person is not listening to what we're saying. Let's have counseling. Why? So if I maybe have reached out to, I don't know, if I may have reached out to Stella, who's walking away, so it's the perfect time to bring her up. I'm just kidding. Don't hurt yourself. Anyways, but if I were to bring up to her, like, hey, we should do some advertising, and let's talk about this, let's do this, and then like 2 or 3 calls later, we still haven't even done a $5 boost, I'm going to say that she's really not interested to hear what I have to say. There's no way we can build on to what we can do next if we don't learn this specific thing. And that's what it is with the training, right? There's no way that you're going to get bullseye hits in order to qualify if you don't learn how to get your gun out of the holster. That's what they would teach me. And so.
Yeah. And I think one thing that we can really take away from that is, like, if he continued to be non-responsive to training, then he's eventually going to get fired or just not progress through the program.
But in this job, people just get discouraged and they quit. But the good thing is you can actually reset yourself.
Right. But what I also want to point out is sometimes, like, when you are like the mentor and you have a coach that's being non-responsive to training, sometimes that's a sign to stop. Like, it may not be their time. It may not be, like, you have other people that, you can be investing with and connecting with and those kinds of things. So, like, what I was just trying to say is, like, if they're NRT, they're not responsive to training, they're consistently not doing the things, then sometimes that's a sign that you need to pause.
And one thing good about that, if you start investing in other places and we can start helping somebody succeed, they're going to finally go, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just showing them the consistency. It may just be they just don't trust you. We've had that. We've fallen in and out of trust with a lot of people. We didn't sign up as a business owner of a multi-thousand person downline, so we're figuring it out as we go. Sometimes we do good, sometimes we do bad. And if we do bad, it's very common that, or we don't do right, someone may step back and just see, what direction is this person going in? Are they going off the rails? You know what I mean? And that's really important, that maybe just something's gone on in your life where your downline may have just taken a little bit of step back and say, I like you, but let me just make sure that you're cool before, I start tagging you in my posts, Yeah.
Okay, so we have a few minutes left, and Nina, if you wanted to hop on and share. Nina, I know her husband was in the NFL, and I don't know if you have your own experiences too, but just about what it means, or what it was like for you to be coached, and just kind of how that constructive criticism benefited.
Yeah, 4 minutes.
All right, I can do it quickly.
Cool.
So actually, I never grew up playing sports. I was scared to death to even sweat. But I met Morgan when he was playing in the NFL, and I think his experience as an NFL player, we've definitely incorporated into our parenting, and I've incorporated into our business. So any of the coaches on here that know me or any of my personally sponsored coaches are going to tell you that I definitely coach with tough love. And I think I get that from Morgan's experience. So in order for him to get a paycheck, he had to show up. And if he was late, he was fined. If he was not showing up and if he was not playing the hardest he could play during practices, then he wouldn't play. There was actually an example when we were in Florida. He was visiting me in Florida and he had to go up to training camp, and he actually missed his flight to training camp. So the NFL wasn't going to pay for him to have another flight to go up to training camp. So he had to go and book the ticket last minute, like all on his own to show up. Morgan was always a distracted player too. And during the time that he was, because of me, he said, he's actually sitting here, but he's camera shy. So during the time that he was playing, I got pregnant. We ended up having a baby. It was a huge, huge distraction, and he wasn't super present in what he did, and it showed on the field. Now, his brother also played in the NFL, and he just retired an 11-year career. And he wasn't as distracted. He was showing up. He was always working harder. So Morgan and Eric went to college together, and their college coach always said that Morgan was the more talented one. However, Eric was the harder worker. So because he was the harder worker, he had an 11-year career in the NFL. Morgan had a 3-year career in the NFL. So, but I think bottom line, it comes to coaches are going to hold you accountable. They're not going to make you do it. You show up if you want to show up. You put the effort in if you want to succeed. And there's a time and place for them to be friends. I mean, Morgan still stays in touch with many of his coaches and has the highest respect for them, and they'll go out drinking now or whatever. But during practices and during games, it's a very professional, we're here to practice and we're here for football. And now seeing him, he coaches 2 of our kids, and it's the same thing. I think one thing we were actually talking about today is when you're coaching people, you don't necessarily coach everybody the same. You kind of look to see what their potential is, and you might work more like closely with one person depending on what their talent and their potential is than you will with another. And I think as far as us coaches, when we see people putting the time in, putting the effort in, and really, really not just saying they want the goals, but working towards those goals, we're going to work harder with those coaches and give them the training that they need, as opposed to the other coaches that are there showing up at practice, going through the motions of it, but not not coming early and not going the extra mile. You're just not going to put as much time in with them. And then my oldest daughter plays competitive soccer right now, and her coach, I mean, it's the same philosophy as the professional coaches, as our parenting, is that tough love. If you're late for practice, you're not going to start the game. If you're fooling around at practice, you're going to go run laps. And I think all coaches have that tough love because they want you to be the best that you can possibly be. And I think we need to remember that our job as a coach, like, we can want it for people, but if they're not there showing up, then we kind of have to bless and release it. And we have to wait for them to show that they're willing to come early, they're willing to go the extra mile, and they're willing to, to just hold themselves accountable. Because there's no athlete that's going to make it anywhere, no matter how good the coach is, if they're not showing up and putting that work in. And I think that's kind of how we look at parenting, coaching, and all of that.
There's always someone waiting in line.
Morgan just said there's always somebody like waiting in line behind you. So everybody's replaceable on a sports team. Like, if you're not willing to work, then we'll go get the next player that is willing to work.
Yeah, that is so true. That is absolutely so true, and I really appreciate that. And also, huge shout out for meeting up with our upline, Scotty. I'm so proud of you for stepping out of there. That's the kind of stuff that really melts our heart, is when we see people take the initiative to get the people they believe can help them. I know Phyllis has done it. I know Sarah's done it. So many, Tanya's done. So many people just do what they can to get to the people that they know they can hear. They're here for us, and I'm just so proud to hear about that.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much for that. It was really great, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tonight.
Yeah, this was part 1 of the 3-part series. We'll post it. This is kind of where our kitchen table theory or vision was. I really like this call. It's probably one of my favorites we've done since we restarted. This is what our vision is. We really want to do these little quick things, hearing from people, because the people that speak here, the people that we have on this team are amazing. What I want you to remember is when you're out there talking about Beachbody, remember this team. It's not so much the products, it's this team, it's this family, it's this group, this support group. I would pay my monthly fee for this call right here. As someone who does 4 hours a week of counseling, this is the cheapest form of counseling there is, and it is just as therapeutic, I promise you. So I really want you not to forget, it's not just about challenge packs and online, it is this right here. And to me, that is amazing. Without this team, me and Jen would be just, God knows where we would. I don't even want to think about it. So anyways, thank you guys so much.
We'll see you next week.
Good night.
Bye.
Just end recording. Where's end recording?
Stop.
Stop.